Hello and welcome to MotorInc First. We are finally doing it. We're talking about a Honda on MotorInc First. This is a first, right?
I don't think we've done a elevator was the first.
Okay, Honda two-wheelers.
No, we've not done the first.
We've done, okay. And that's because we hadn't got any bikes up until now. And now that have got one, we're talking about it.
Yeah.
Which one are we talking about? It's I only know that it's the CB125 Hornet. And
we will keep this short and sweet, just like the bike is.
Okay, let's go. That's a good start then.
It's a very good start.
Oh, lovely.
So what you should know is that the Honda Shine is the dominant 125, has been for a long time. Right at the start, perhaps not the greatest of Honda products in the sense the gearing was a little bit off and it would sort of run out of puff very early. Then they fixed that. Since then, it has been a stellar performer.
Correct.
We have colleagues outside who have Shines in their families, and it's so useful a motorcycle that they sort of don't remember it in great detail. You know, like how Xerox became the default name for a photocopy. It's that kind of motorcycle. And the CB125 is a very closely linked cousin. Not as closely linked as you would read on the internet, because what they're saying is this is the Shine engine tuned up. So you get a little bit more performance out of it. And from the SP125, which is the second of the Shine engine motorcycles, Shine is the base, 125, which we have to say now specifically 125 because there's also a Shine 100. So technically the Shine 100 is the name, Shine is a 125.
And is it called the CB Shine? Is it
CB Shine used to be, so far whatever I can see now, the CB from the Shine has been eliminated as far as I can tell. So it is now just the Shine. Above that, SP125, which is a little bit fancier, slightly different performance, slightly low fuel economy than the Shine, slightly heavier than the Shine also. And now on the top is the bike with the Shine name removed completely. This is now called the Hornet. On the flip side, the Hornet name came to India with the Hornet 2.0, which was positioned as a 200 but was actually a 183.
No, didn't they come with the 160 when they went from the Unicorn 150?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, you're right. So the Hornet 160 was there, which for a while sold very well, and then I don't know what happened to it because I haven't seen a new Hornet in 160 in a lot of time.
Correct.
Then the Hornet 2.0 came, which had 183 or 186cc engine, which was kind of weird because it's not really a 200, but the prices were 200 like. I didn't like riding that a lot because the suspension was super stiff and all of that. So I don't know what happened to that, but I have actually can't remember seeing a Hornet 2.0 on the road at all. So my feeling is it didn't do very well at all. Now there is the CB125 Hornet. What I really love about the 125s in India is as a group of motorcycles, they are competent. And I did a story, if you haven't caught it, you should, which has the Extreme 125R, which is currently a very popular 125, the Bajaj N125, which should have been more popular than it became, but didn't do really well. And we had the third big 125, which is the Raider. Now, the Raider is the clever motorcycle in this group because it created the idea saying, you can commute, you can have fuel economy, but you can have a little bit of fun. And that got to a point where everybody suddenly had a Raider competitor, which happened over the last 6 months. And I really love doing this story because riding a good, competent 125 is just so much fun. So I remember back in the day, British magazines who would normally test superbikes, they'd suddenly get like a CG125, which is also a Honda from wherever. And then they'd be like, oh, so much fun, you can throw it around. And you're like, fools. And because we were riding those commuters, right? Those were our motorcycles. So you could understand what the excitement was. But we have been testing 160s and 250s and 390s and 400s and all that. And suddenly when you go back to 120, you say, no, I get it. There is a lot of joy to be had in this simplicity of machinery. However, I want to draw a clean line in the sand where the Shine, competent, fuel efficient, boring. And that's how it's supposed to be, not objecting to it. That's how I think the Super Splendor would be, the Glamour would be, etc. When you come to the Raider side, suddenly there is a sense of small joys. And the CB125 sort of taps into that, but it does it less than the competition, which I initially thought would be what I would hold against it. Because I would say, hey, the Raider is a little bit lighter. The Raider makes a little bit more performance. And we know that the Raider is actually a really fun bike to ride. And therefore, the CB125 Hornet is a little bit subtle. Then you ride the Extreme 125R, which looks like that, and you called it the cockroach. And it's a linear, smooth, clean motorcycle to the point where you can see the competence. You can have a little bit of fun on it, but you're like, I wish it was a little bit livelier one way or another. And then you ride the Bajaj N125. Horrible seat, strange looks. What great suspension, what smoothness. So you're like, this class is fun. And if these were one of your first bikes, you would get hooked to motorcycles easily. Now Honda's thrown their sort of card into this poker table, as it were, right? And it's such a good card. So first, the engine is the Shine engine. So it has those qualities.
Right.
When it starts up, no kicking noise because it's a starter generator now, which they deployed on the SP125.
Okay.
Same thing has come here. It's got a modicum of more power, like we're talking less than half horsepower more kind of. So I'm not going to go into the performance extra. It's fine. This is a much heavier motorcycle in theory than the Shine. I'm going to say 11, 12 kilos heavier than the Shine, 7 kilos heavier than the SP125. So it's gained weight, most of which I think is bodywork, not anything else. And then you'd assume that, oh, they just renamed it. I mean, it's a Shine frame. Then you look at it. The Shine and the SP125 have twin shock rear suspension. This thing is a monoshock. This thing has a 37 millimeter upside down fork made by Showa. And suddenly you're like, this is not what you would call a small chassis redesign. It's quite a bit of work.
Rear monoshock itself is a massive change.
Yeah. So I'm not clear whether these were borrowed from the Hornet 2.0 and brought to this bike or not. I'm not clear. I don't have a brief from Honda on the product. But as far as I can tell, a lot of work has gone into the CB125 Hornet, but the similarity of the engine undermines your idea of how much work has gone into this motorcycle.
Just to clarify things a bit, the SP doesn't have monoshock.
No.
It doesn't
It's the same as the Shine, but with extra features and equipment.
So none of them even have the upside down forks?
No.
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 Okay. No. So the engine is the commonality.
Which is why, unfortunately, I think the CB125 doesn't get due credit for the amount of work Honda actually put into this, because that is not the same frame. It might have the similar geometry.
Correct.
It might have similar weight to the rivals. But can you call the chassis something that they said, oh, we'll put this engine, we'll put the chassis, put a bike together? No. It is quite a bit of work there.
Just these two changes would require a lot of work.
Yeah. And Honda has done part sharing with this bike. So this bike has a standard 4.2-inch TFT screen. Okay, this TFT screen immediately reminded me of the oldest televisions. Okay, because it's a screen, and that's fine. Huge bezels. So it's like the bezels are dwarfing your screen. So you're like, oh, come on. I mean, this is a trick that you've missed, right? On that screen, it's super clear. Very easy to read, to the point where I was actually saying, when it says 2 numbers on the speedometer, they needed to kern it and make it look like 1 number, because 67 looks like 6 plus 7. Did you know what this is? What? You don't know what this is.
What are you talking about?
If you know what I'm talking about, please tell him in the comments.
Thing. Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay. To the point where I'm like, oh, they should have kerned these 2 numbers together. Kerning being the letter spacing, right? If they kerned it, it would have looked better. But it is crystal clear, very easy to read, and it has a Japanese UX, which means things are in non-obvious places. Like, for example, it says trip A, trip B at the bottom, clear enough, very readable. You use the D-pad and you get through the numbers really quickly. You can see everything. You can change what numbers show up there. Brilliant for a motorcycle of this size. The trip reset is an icon. Okay. So it doesn't say trip reset. It has an arrow pointing to 0. So you have to keep pressing till you say, oh, that means trip reset.
Oh,
so, so there's a little bit of kookiness in the UI UX going on. But for that screen, it's a clear screen. But Honda's missed the trick of making it look like the classy screen. So it looks like bare bones, it looks functional, it looks clear. But will you look at it and say, oh, that must belong to an expensive... No, not going to happen. Okay. Now, to go back to where we were, the engine and the frame. So the engine feels like the Shine. So it's quiet, it's smooth, it starts up without a noise because of the starter generator. And listen, this is starting up inside a hall, right? Most people hear any bike in here and it sounds loud to them because there's so much reverberation. They thought that the Hornet was quiet because it's like a civil, sober, quiet motorcycle. Not super quiet when you're riding, so it's not like it disappears completely in your audio. There is feedback, but in this room, it sounds quiet. And you're like, okay, Then you start riding it, it's buttery smooth. And what I'm happy to report is the extra performance does make a dent. So you can take this 5-speed gearbox, you can take it out on the highway, sit at just below 80 and feel like all is well with the world.
Okay.
Here, the rivals are slightly better because they are slightly more linear. Their top ends are a little more performant. So sitting on the highway where that bike will sit at 87, 88, this bike will sit at 80 and they both will feel calm, which sounds like a small difference, but if you think about it, that's 10%.
Yeah.
Right? Up to 80 though, the Honda is epic smooth. And I think the rivals are not as smooth as this, but here we are splitting hair. I'm talking about 3, 4, 5% differentials. And it's so easy to ride in the city. So I tried hustling it. I mean, you would, right? It doesn't like it.
Oh.
And then it is wasteful. Because it gets to about, I'm going to say 7,000 RPM. And from there onwards, it has performance, but it's basically saying, look, this is not the right way to ride this motorcycle. Why are you doing these stupid things? Just calm down. No, the torque is below, the happiness is below, the smoothness is below, the efficiency is below. I have come into the office today and the boys were messing around with the meter. So they changed my fuel gauge to a range gauge and it replaces it. So you can't see both at the same time. So I came into the office today seeing 712 kilometers of range left on the tank full. And I've ridden the motorcycle like 108 kilometers or something so far.
Wow.
So it's got a larger tank than because they redesigned the motorcycle, it has a larger tank than the Shine and the CB125 both. So today it is standing outside showing 700 kilometers of range. Brilliant. So it is fuel efficient also. So I saw the numbers and the Shine says ARI economy is 65 or something like that. And then the CB125 drops, let's call it 10. I'll put up the numbers. This thing is 48.
No.
So you're like, hey, that's kind of low. Then you start reading the reports from the people who've tested this motorcycle. They are all saying, hurry, this reports more than ARA economy in the real world. People are getting 65s and 70s out of this motorcycle. What the hell is going on? Then I'm looking at that 700 range figure and I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. It is definitely giving more than 50 kilometers per liter.
Yeah, at 13, if you're saying 800 kilometers of range means what?
Exactly. So this bike is more fuel efficient than the ARI numbers will tell you, which is very rare. Usually, I'll tell you how to use the ARI number. ARI numbers, I use them as an expectation of what is going to happen. So let's say I'm comparing product A and product B. If this is roughly 10 kmpl more than that, convert that to percentages, and in the real world, that's sort of what the difference you will see. This bike breaks that expectation by giving you more than what it did on the ARI test. It's possible that it is because of the way the Shine engine works, where the lower the revs that you use, the more work you get done out of this motor, because this motor has a lot of torque, but not a lot of horsepower as it were. And if you stay low, you stay efficient, but the test cycle might be a little bit on the high side, and therefore it performs more, it drinks more fuel on the ARI test cycle is what I'm assuming it to be. So,
strange nonetheless.
Yeah. So the first day I hustled, and I was like, no, it doesn't like it. It just does not like it. And my commute has 2 long stretches where you can sit at a good speed within the city, where you can sit at 80, 85, 90s. If there's nobody around, hundreds. This bike at 100 will sit, but it does not sit there peacefully. It clearly says, I am a small 125. Why? And you say Honda engine, what the hell is going to happen? Nothing is going to happen. But 82, 83 roughly is the sweet spot max.
Is it again the auditory side of things?
Little bit of vibration, little bit of resistance, little bit of harshness. It's a combination of things. It never comes to a point where I wouldn't be willing to do it. It comes to the point where 80 is so much sweeter that going 5 kmph more, I'd just not bother.
Because there's that phase in between where all the Honda engines, like it was more the sound that felt thrashy than...
No, so what will happen on this bike is as you come up to those revs, 7,000-ish, stuff starts to vibrate at the bottom and let you know that the level of strain is increasing. Increasing to the point where you say, this bike has vibration? No. Enough to tell you that now you're going to fall out of the sweet spot, start becoming cautious. Then it'll increase further, then the engine note starts to change. And you'll distinctly hear it at, I'm going to say 85, 86 with my weight. Distinctly you'll hear the engine note change. There is a sense of strain that arrives. It's not overbearing, it's not overarching, it's just there, just enough to tell you saying, that's it, don't go any faster, you will do the best work you can here. So I think all the rivals have more flexible engines than this, but this is a very sweet motorcycle to ride. So once I did the hustling part and got it out of my system, then I said, we will ride it in the sweet spot. We will stay in that sweet,
enjoy the bike.
Where the bike wants to be. Did I go any slower anywhere? Honestly, not really. Did I reach any place later than I thought I should? Not really. So it then settles into the background. It becomes quiet. It gives great fuel economy. That range number starts to increase even further and becomes horrifying. Yesterday I did this. I left the office showing 591 range. I got home showing 680 range. It's like, what the hell is this maths going on? I don't know what the hell this thing is doing.
Manufactured petrol.
Yeah, I effectively created petrol. Yeah. So it was very nice to see that the sweetness of the shine moves forward one step. And caveat, the segment competitors of the fun 125s, their engines do more work than this. So could Honda have taken this engine and pulled more out of it? I suspect that they could have. They've chosen not to.
By more work, you mean just they have a
More
wider
top
sweet
end,
spot.
wider space, and therefore a little bit more latitude. This remains with a 5-speed gearbox. I can quite imagine that if there was a 6-speed gearbox with an even more relaxed ratio.
Do any of the rivals have a 6?
I don't remember, but I remember that the highway speeds were higher.
Okay,
So
that you said already.
yeah. So no. So I'm saying it is so unstrained at 82 in fifth that I can imagine that if they'd just given one more ratio,
Right.
it would have just done that job. Like saying, yeah, okay, we'll go another 5 kmph, right? And if a bike like this, which I'm not saying you should be buying for highway use anyway, I'm saying if you find yourself on the highway, on the 125, being able to sit 10, 15 kmph above the speed limit gives you the latitude to keep up with whatever's happening around you. That's all.
This sounds like yesterday once more, because when the Shine came, I remember when we tested it, this was what, 2005? 2005.
Oh, just 20 years ago. So roughly the amount of time it took for the Activa to discover telescopic front forks. Not bad.
I remember when it came out, we were testing it back then in Bike India, and Aspi and I, we were testing it. We both came back and we were like, man, it's right at the sweet spot that you get that buzz from the engine. It was that one spot where it would get buzzy, and that was your typical speed at which you sit. And you think, how could Honda get this wrong?
Yeah.
Right? And Aspi, of course, took it on himself, and he changed the gearing, he changed one of the sprockets, and then
instantly, yeah.
And you think like, a company like Honda won't miss something like that.
We'll come to what Honda can and cannot miss at the end of this discussion, because there is meat on that bone for sure.
Because it sounds to me like it's like such a familiar thing that, it could have done a bit more, but okay, fine. This is where they settled at.
This is where they settled at, right? Yeah. On the frame front, the first thing that will shock you about the Hornet is it is just weightless and falls to lean angles to the point where I was like, no, not this fast. And then I got used to it, and then I exploited it fully. But the first thing is you start to tip it and you just change direction. And you're like, whoa, that's a little too quick. I was reading Autocar story, I think, which said does not inspire grip in the wet. Okay. We got the motorcycle after the rains got over, so I have not been in the wet. In the dry, it felt completely okay. But there are stories out there which I've read which say in the wet, these tires aren't great.
Which tires are these?
MRF, old school pattern it is, but they're wider. This is 110 rear, so it is a little bit wider than the segment, etc., which all have hundreds.
Also, the Shine, regular Shines.
Shines have smaller tires than this. This has wider tires. Compared to the Extreme 125R and 125 and all, this has the widest by one section. The fronts
I was also asking because of from the fuel efficiency standpoint, that big difference between them and this could be the...
Yeah, I wouldn't consider that would be a factor to drop from, say, 65, 68 to 48.
Yeah, correct. But this
3, 4, 5%, okay.
But that was a question, whether there's a difference in tire size between them.
There is. And so at first you're like, this bike is turning too quick. And it does like upset you a little bit in the sense of, whoa, that's too quick. And then you get used to it. And once you get used to it, I swear, if you ride anything else back to back, then you'll be like, why am I putting so much effort into a 125? Because it takes to me about 10 kilometers of playing with it and changing lanes and cornering to get a sense of grip hai. Confidence is there. No issues. It's just I have to adapt to this because this is reacting so quickly. Okay? And then when you connect it to saying, how is it reacting so quickly? It's not like my handlebar is super wide and I have lots of leverage. It's just very well balanced. So it is just on it. And from that point onwards, I have loved riding it. And I'm still telling you, if you're a reasonably new rider, take a moment to get used to how it changes direction because it feels super light on its feet. Okay. Not ungrippy, not unsettling, but super light. Okay. What I think Honda has missed a trick again on is the suspension. Okay. They've missed a trick. It's not a crisis. They've not ruined it. To me, the Hornet 2.0 was ruined. This bike is not ruined. This is Honda doing what Honda does. So if you remember the Unicorn, and add to me 15-20% stiffness to it, you will get the feeling of this bike. Where initially it seems to absorb everything. When you take big hits, it absorbs that. Beyond that, it bottoms out quite easily. In the middle, it manages really well. And your sense of it is firm, controlled. Now, firm, controlled, bottoming out at the edge, absorbing small bumps, sounds like a good thing. Except that there are rivals who do better than this even. So the Raider also feels stiff and controlled, but not as stiff as the Honda. The Extreme 125R has very good suspension. The N125 actually is the star of this show because that thing feels like it has sophisticated suspension. Under those pajamas are actually very good shocks. So the N125 has the ability to absorb small shocks. You know what we say the Öhlins feel? It does that.
And
then
those
it
are
has
telescopic forks.
And then it has progressive, and then it has progressive damping and all of that, which unfortunately the Hornet cannot lay claim to. Decent riding comfort, yes. Very, very Honda riding comfort, 100%. Best in the segment today, no longer. So the Indian brands, as it were, have moved on to a better place, but the Japanese brand has not. And just to bring the Activa conversation back, this is exactly what happened to the Activa at the start. In 2000, when they put the link type fork in the front, we asked them, why wouldn't you put telescopics on it? And Honda told us, and I quote, it doesn't even go to 100 kmph. We have a rule at Honda. If the scooter will not go to 100 kmph, it cannot get telescopic forks. Right? Then a few years pass, the Access 125 comes out, has telescopic forks, still does not hit 100 kmph. And Honda sticks to its gun saying, we don't do telescopic forks. Took 20 years to get there. Today, the Honda Activa does have telescopic forks.
Does it get to 100?
No. Right?
They stuck to their guns, man.
They stuck to their guns. In fact, I would say that the next year, 2026, will be the 25th anniversary of the Activa, I think. At that point, it might even get disc brakes. And that might have more to do with the government than Honda, because the government might mandate saying all two-wheelers have to have ABS, and you can't do ABS with drum brakes. So Honda does Honda things. And I understand it also because there's such a large, globally distributed organization that some of these calls will be taken elsewhere. Right? And these get in the way of local markets. So there is somebody sitting in Japan who says, the suspension tuning, you just do it the way we do it. Don't benchmark the rivals for this. Whereas everything else might have been benchmarked, whatever it is. The point is, reasonably comfortable, but not as comfortable as rivals. Very good handler, but there are more confident handling packages available. If you're buying a Hornet, you're not going to suffer. You're not buying the bad bike here. You're just buying the lightest feeling motorcycle, so take a moment to get used to it. Where I think Honda should have improved things, primarily, I think, is the seat. It's a wide seat. It's weirdly shaped. So it looks sort of flabby rather than crisp. It sort of has like a top surface, which is actually a reasonably well-made top surface. Then it sort of has like flab. So it sort of spreads its wings and sort of oozes down the side of the motorcycle. And for some reason, I don't know why, you tell me when you see a Hornet, you tell me if you have the feeling too. I kept feeling like the seat cheapens the motorcycle somehow.
Okay.
The way the cushions are stitched, the way the stitching is, it just feels underdone.
Okay.
It's like somebody winged it. And I didn't want to make the big wing pun by intention. I'm just saying it feels like somebody winged the seat. I feel from my memory, this is the least finished Honda seat I've ever seen. And given the rest of the motorcycle, the seat really sticks out because this motorcycle is well made. So the seat sticks out as a thing saying, why?
Okay.
Now, since most Hornet customers will probably put a seat cover on it, I don't think that's such a big deal. But it is shocking how much difference there is in the quality level between the body panels and the seat. And it really stuck in my craw. Then it got worse because this is not a great seat. It's an okay seat. Eventually, I had aches and pains. I sank into it a little bit. And you should also know this is a reasonably compact motorcycle, no surprise. But the problem with the compactness is they put the huge tank extensions, sort of like the Extreme 125 Hornet. Somebody actually commented saying, it's just like the Hero. And I was like, yeah, they were partners, a few years ago.
Before we go there, you spoke about quality. The one thing that we didn't talk about is the switchgear. The switchgear is...
It's basic and functional switchgear with a D-pad on this side.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Because pre-SP, it used to be quite tacky, I think.
No, it's fine.
It's okay now.
It's not breaking any new ground, but it's not suffering in any particular way.
Because that used to be like a terrible feel on the...
We are okay.
That's fine.
Yeah,
okay. Design, yeah.
No, design will come. So just remember, if you're a tall rider, once you sit in the seat in the normal position, this part of your knee will make contact with the trailing edge of the tank extension.
Okay.
Since I wear motorcycle pants all the time with armor, I'm aware of the contact through the armor. I'm not suffering from it. If you're wearing regular pants trying to go to work or whatever, which is not the safest thing that you could do, but if you're doing that and you're tall, it might touch. To solve that, I tried to move further and further back in the seat. As a 6-footer, it stopped once my tailbone was firmly in contact with the pillion seat is how far I had to go to remove the contact fully. So not a super spacious bike, but it's not cramped. It's just that there is contact at that point of time.
Mm-hmm.
You will also see some videos where people are shaking those panels and the panels move around quite a bit. I don't think that's a quality issue as much as it has been mounted in a way so that as the bike gets older, it doesn't rattle. So the movement can absorb the bumps and shocks rather than make the plasticky sounds that it would otherwise make. I don't think it's a quality issue. Now, what I was shocked about this motorcycle is how much attention it gets.
Oh, really?
So we have the Nardo gray and red combination. And Honda has a very weird naming scheme for these particular motorcycles. So they all sound roughly the same. And there are, if I remember correctly, they all have one part of the color which is the same. And then when you start looking for that color on the bike, it does not exist. Right? So we have a gray and red bike, and it would say something like pearl, anthracite, black, and red. And you're like, where's the black? It's weird like that. But it, and we'll ignore the headlight for a minute. We'll come to the headlight. The rest of the motorcycle, people like, whoa, what is that? It's been a while since people stopped and looked at the bike and looked it over and had conversations about it, to the point where today somebody tapped me on my shoulder while I was riding. He was on an Activa, saying, "Kitne ka hai? Acha bike hai? Aapne kabhi liya?" And he's trying to have a conversation with me on the move. So I had to obviously accelerate out of that situation. But that did not happen for any of the other 125s.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely attention grabbing. I think it's part of what the bike is supposed to do as a design, and it does. The colors are bright and the colors look good. I'm not sure about the fluorescent green bike, but this red and grey, I think it looks really good. It looks well finished, it looks well done, and it has some kooky design also. So the side panel, they tried to create a cutout, so make it look lighter. It's actually a cutout. So then you look closely and you can see the battery behind it, and the battery bracket is silver, so then it grabs your attention. Once you've seen it, you cannot unsee it. So it's a well-made motorcycle. The headlight I do not understand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it has a nice shape, and the bottom of the headlight is actually a pretty decent shape. It looks like a snake fang, whatever. Okay, great. And then there is the top part of the headlight, which has lots of stuff going on. And this is not my fault, but every time I walked into my house and I said, play me my favorite music to my favorite digital assistant, the one SIRI, it played the Sugar Babes song called Hole in the Head. And it got stuck in my head. And then I came down to the Hornet and like, hole in the head. And that song is playing in my thing. So it's got a high beam that is mounted there, and it's got 2 DRLs like this and 2 low beams like this. And there is a lot going on. And I immediately understood why people kept referring to it as a hero bike also looks like this.
2 things from my side. Because when I came into office today, Shumi was just riding in. So I just saw him ride up and then passed. So my lasting impression of that, from that interaction, was of the rear. And I didn't place which bike you were riding in that time. But from the rear, for some reason, I thought, is it an RTR? And I'm wondering whether that's a combination of the sound as well. Because the RTRs also have that slightly softish but bassy sound.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe it's that. Then when it was in the office and I went towards it, the first thought was, is it a hero or right?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot going on,
Yeah.
right? There's a lot going on, and you can see like those design cues in the sense of adding a lot of volume, like the underseat area, which is so wide.
Yeah.
And then I saw some places where these extensions, like little plastic shrouds sticking out, like the belly pan area and all.
Yeah.
You can see them trying to add volume.
Yeah, and it feels like that also. So the tank is wider than you expect. So I remember the Shine being a narrowish motorcycle, the SP125 being a reasonably narrow motorcycle. This is a wide motorcycle.
But I completely did not notice the seat, nothing, because once I saw the headlamp, I was like, what?
Yeah,
because he told me, he said, go take a look at the bike.
Yeah.
I was just stuck on that. And the only other thing that I would have asked you was about the suspension, because the show us look gold, right?
Yeah.
But I was wondering whether they worked as well because they felt a little not as plush as you would have expected.
No, they are a typical Honda setup. They are controlled. They do that typical Honda feeling. You can't really object to it until you ride the rivals and say, oh, this has been surpassed.
So yeah,
so you know how I like to say people doing people things and you shouldn't get upset about it. This is Honda doing Honda things and you shouldn't get upset about it.
And it's such a beautiful example because you'll see gold, you'll see Showa. And then on the other hand, you brought up the example of the N125, which has regular telescopic forks. And you said that feels sophisticated.
Yeah. So in fact, I want to start my own suspension company, which I call Dua. Because I think Dua is better than Showa.
Dua is very good. I love Dua.
No, so overall, I think Honda could have done the seat a little bit better. I think that the suspension setup, Honda does its setup, but I think there are better setups than this in this class now. And I think that engine retune, if it was a little bit more cognizant of how the motorcycles are working in that segment now, I think there is a better setup for the engine tune also. But overall, I have really enjoyed riding the bike. It was all the things that you expect from Honda, where everything sort of works and you have that sense of quality always. It feels a little bit larger than it is, blah, blah, blah. Clicks into place. I get why you'd get yourself a CB125 Hornet.
Price?
This is a slightly expensive motorcycle, but we're talking about 3,000-4,000 rupees in this class. It has a single channel ABS as standard, the TFT is standard, Bluetooth connectivity is standard. So it has a lot of standard
equipment. So this is only at the front?
Disc is only at the front. It's a 130 mm rear drum. The brakes work quite well. They are friendly. They are strong enough without overpowering with sensation. It's all in the place. So it's a completely unobjectionable motorcycle, as you would expect a Honda to be. It is a reasonably fun motorcycle until you bring context to it, which is the shine on one side. Oh wow, much more boring, much more fuel efficient, or Raider Extreme, etc. We say, oh, it can be more fun than this. Until then, goodbye. So if you're one of those people who think, oh, there's a Honda product I could buy, I just don't need to consider anything else, I think you will do absolutely okay.
It sounds just about right for that.
You will do absolutely okay.
Yeah.
There's absolutely nothing to complain about.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, reasonably powerful headlight. This one was also pointed a little bit high, which is a standing joke for the Activa headlight anyway. So when I flashed it, my high beam never fell to the ground at all. If I was on the throttle, I actually went up into the sky. So our test bike's headlight is definitely not pointed in the right direction. But when I was braking and the headlight did point in the normal directions, lots of illumination. I think for the city, reasonably good lights. No problem on that front. Should be okay.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah, that was the story of the CB125 Hornet.
Right. Nice. Yeah. Good beginnings, I would say.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I'm happy.
Yeah, I really enjoyed riding it. And I honestly telling you, I enjoyed riding it so much that the seat really bugged me. I was like, how can Honda mess up a seat? I mean, when was the last time we rode a Honda and say, you know what is wrong with this? The seat is wrong with this. I can't remember it.
But yeah, like you said, Honda does Honda things.
Yeah, Honda does Honda things.
And that's not the first time that they've done things like this.
No, and in fact, the thing about Honda doing Honda things is that what really gets difficult to predict is when they will do Honda things and when they will do Honda India things. Like for example, the CB350 Highness is not a Honda thing. It's a Honda India type of thing. Yeah. This thing's headlight design is not a Honda thing. I mean, you look at all the motorcycles that they've done recently where there is some sort of vertical stacking with the headlights going on, for example, the NX500, etc. Doesn't end up with this as a result. Why? Because they tend to make those headlights vertically more flat. So you see both the headlights as a unit. Here it's like this, and suddenly it doesn't work so well anymore.
They don't feel connected. You're looking at them as two separate units. Yeah.
As I'm telling you this, I'm remembering that I kept reaching for the brake lever and the clutch lever and feeling, oh, cheap levers. When you look at them, there's nothing wrong with the quality of it. But it's the spindliness of them and it's the radiusing. And under your finger, they just feel like, oh, I have cheap levers.
Okay.
It's those kind of things. You know, it's where the cost has been cut by a design guy rather than the parts guy. It's those kind of things where this bike's aggregates could have been better and could have added to the experience. I don't remember riding the Raider and thinking, nice bike, cheap levers. That happened with the Hornet.
Yeah.
So Honda does global Honda things, and when they do, they really surprise you because it can be awesome.
You know what is one of the strangest Honda things that I remember? I always think about, how much does an inch of tubing cost? Because at one time, if you remember, all their motorcycles moved to this strange short side stand.
Correct.
It was just unreal. It's like, what the hell is going on? You would always struggle to pull it out.
Yeah.
And you would always have this weird angle with it. You're like, what was wrong with the old? And it was Honda that did that.
Yeah.
And you just had to adapt to it.
Yeah.
And the same thing with those, and I remember this clearly when they came with the that's why I remember the Hornet when they went from the Unicorn to the 160 or whatever. Because the handlebars were like that. It was like, I always felt like you were holding the bike by its ears and steering it. You're like, why has it got to this? What is going on here?
Yeah.
Anyways, these are those weird things that just you want to get them out of your head, but you can't get them out of your head.
And then I was looking up the history of the Hornet. The first Hornet, 1986, I think, was a 250.
Oh, really? Interesting.
We still don't have that.
Yeah, we don't have one.
It would be nice to have a Hornet.
I wonder what their marker is when the Indian economy gets to this point. Then they get a 250 Hornet.
No, I think the committee that was created to create the committee that would decide on the Hornet is still deciding whether to create the committee or not. Once the committee creates the committee, then the decision can be made.
We'll see you back in 30 minutes. This is going to go on. Okay.
No, but it was good. It was good to write this.
And I will do a short summary of this, quick summary of this, because I do like the CB125 extremely. I think it's like a lovely tool that just can live in your home, and this is a different flavor of it. Anything else to be added? Otherwise, I'll go for the quick summary. So we're talking about the CB125 Hornet, which is the, let's say, the more youthful flavor of the CB125 SP or SP125, however it's called. And fundamentally, you might look at it and think that it is the same motorcycle with just slight differences, but that's not the case. The engines are shared. There's a slight difference in power, about less than half PS more. I don't have the exact figure. We didn't discuss that. What is different though is the fuel efficiency, which is down to something like 48 kilometers per liter, but do not be put off by that figure, because what Shumi has seen and what other people are reporting, that number you will exceed easily when you're out in the real world.
Yeah.
After riding the motorcycle for over 100 kilometers, the Hornet was still showing a range of 700 something kilometers this morning. So what fuel efficiency is managing is a lot better than what it claims on paper, which is on the ARI tests. There are a couple of fundamental differences when it comes to the chassis. The front, you're getting upside down telescopic forks from Showa, and at the rear you have a monoshock setup. You have wider tires as well, and this bike is heavier by about 10-12 kilograms than the other 125s, the Shines, and that is a significant amount of weight. I think some of that is down to this re-engineering of the platform, the chunkier forks up front. You'll also have the additional bodywork, which it has a lot of, and that is one of the talking points here. It's certainly a very, let's call it, striking looking bike, especially from the front, because it has this weird headlamp kind of placement, where there's this one high beam sitting right on top separately, which is strange looking. But the rest of the bike, it has tried to add volume. You can look at the bits. The tank itself feels wide. It's the plastics around the rear seats, which are all wide and give it that bigger bike look. But you can tell it's a smaller motorcycle at the heart of it. And in a way, that's a beautiful thing, because when you ride it, it does feel like a light, really joyous bike because of that sense of lightness about it. And it steers that way too. So that's the one thing that Shumi spoke. That was a surprise and a highlight for me when I was listening to him, that it really turns, it really tips in. And at first it can feel a little bit surprising, but as you kind of get used to it, you enjoy it and you use it, which is slightly in contrast to the engine, which is it knows its happy space and it expects, or let's say prefers, that you ride it in that zone. It isn't as flexible or as enthusiastic as some of its rivals, and that's the one area where the Hornet didn't feel as youthful as some of its rivals did. And also when it comes to the suspension, it's a good enough setup. That setup looks premium, and definitely with that cold upside down fork, but it isn't as sophisticated, it isn't as well-rounded as its rivals. On its own, it works well enough. This is not a reason to not buy one, and that's, I think, the bottom line of this bike. Even though it is one of the most premium options in this segment in terms of pricing by 3,000-4,000 or something like that. The point that it comes down to is that if you're looking to get a 125 and you wanted to get a Honda and you wanted a youthful 125 from Honda, this is now a bike you can just go for. You don't have to think too much about it. The other options might be a little bit sportier, like might be a little bit more plush in the way they ride, but this is good enough.
Yeah, in fact, I would say all the 4 bikes are good enough. So you honestly cannot make a big mistake. There will be difference in service quality and longevity, etc. But will you buy one of these bikes and say, "Oh, I should have bought the other one"? No, you'll be okay.
All right.
What I forgot to tell you is that the Honda has live weather updates.
It has rain on the...
No, I also have live weather updates. Oh, yeah, it's hot. Oh, it's raining. I should get a raincoat. I don't understand this live weather update thing. I mean,
how does it work?
I'm there in the weather. I can tell.
How does it work?
Through the app, it gives you a notification of some sort.
Sure, app.
Okay. So basically, it's saying where are you geographically, and oh, okay. So it's raining where you are. Yeah, I know. I already got wet. Which could be because you're wearing the raincoat or because you forgot to wear the raincoat. In both cases, we get wet inside, right? So some of this stuff I do not understand, but
this is the arms race. We can't help it.
Yeah. Anytime somebody tells you that this app will give you live weather updates, you should ask yourself a question, saying, what will the app tell me that I do not already know? I'll give you how to do this. It's a very simple 3-step process. Are you sweating? It's hot. Are you shivering? It's cold. And then just touch your face like this. If there's water on it and it's not sweating, it's raining.
Good one. It will certainly help people decide what to do or what the weather is.
Yeah. I was like, live weather updates. Interesting.
This is really a stupid little race that we've gotten into.
Yeah, I haven't used the Honda app, so there is turn-by-turn navigation, etc. on this bike. I don't know how well it works. It is dependent very heavily on the maps that they're using. For example, my KTM is supposed to have turn-by-turn navigation, which then I looked up, and it's the same platform which my Ducati was using, which is called Bosch MySpin. That means the map supplier happens to be a company called Cigic. When it is Cigic, their map data for India has usually been terrible, which means your turn-by-turn navigation will be all over the place. Compared to that, you look at Royal Enfield's Tripper, which is also turn-by-turn navigation. They use Google Maps. Automatically, the directions become more knowledgeable. Some of them use Map My India, which can visually look inferior to Google Maps, but their data set is superior to Cigic, so those turn-by-turn navigations are more accurate. So you have to figure out what is underneath a little bit before you say, oh, turn-by-turn navigation, I am set.
Maybe is there any specific reason why you'd want to use their system?
It syncs up to the device, and if you have a headset, then it'll say turn left in 200 meters or whatever. That's why.
But wouldn't my phone do that anyways?
That's what I do. So what I do for a setup is, if I'm running a headless setup, as it's called, which means you can't see the instructions, I just have used Google and Apple Maps for a long time. So I just now remember how to react when it says turn left in 300 meters versus turn left now. And your worst case scenario is you're in a confusing place and there's 3 places where you could take a left, you'll maybe take the wrong one. And that's okay. That's the exception, not the rule. So we're okay.
Okay, fine. What's next?
Next is I have a breather. As we're recording this, next week is Diwali, which means this rush to get the 2-wheelers out for the festive season is now done. So we are taking a break.
Awesome.
I think you have stuff that is lined up now.
Yeah, we have lots of invites in. Dates are yet to be closed. We do have the Octavia RS, the new venue. There is something from Tata, which we can expect to be the Sierra petrol. And we have something from Mahindra. We have something from Maruti Suzuki.
Oh, nice.
So there's lots happening in this November, December period. December, there's even more from Tata. There's more from Mahindra. So there's a fair bit going on right now. So we'll see as it all pans out.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
Being busy is good.
And we've also been trying to get our hands on the VinFast. Strangely enough, actually, the reason I'm bringing it up is not too many people asked about it. So I was wondering whether we should follow up on it or not, because they are also kind of, things are happening slowly for them. So whether we should follow up. They've not yet done a drive as yet. So we were trying to get cars, but that hasn't worked out. Are you guys interested? Just let us know. Otherwise, there are other things that we'll be looking at
makes
getting.
sense.
So yeah.
Right. And if you're not watching on the app, now we'll skip ahead because we're going to do, no, we're not going to do questions or circles on this particular one. So this is exactly the same episode on YouTube and the app. Feel free to watch wherever you prefer.
I was also like, wait one sec, what? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So if you have any more questions, as always, do talk to us on the app because we want to have great conversations and that really does help. If you're watching this on YouTube, anywhere else, we will get back to you and we look forward to hearing from you there as well. But we will invite you. Come join us on the app. We promise you it'll be better. And as always, thanks so much for watching.